Hello everyone. Okay, so I think there are some people that I could be waiting for this seminar already. And yes, just want to wish all of you a happy new year first. Hey, hope that all of you actually had a good holiday, and I think that you spent a good time with your children during the holiday period. So to go and spend time overseas and had a good trip. I myself also I actually already went to Korea to have a good trip, and I hope that the rest of you also managed to do the same. Just want to let all of you know, in case you may have actually joined one of the previous seminars before for the PSLE, just want to let you know this is going to be a little bit different. Or actually, I would say it's about 50% different. Reason being because this time round, I'm actually going to be adding in a bit more on the actual analysis of the 2024 PSLE paper. So it's not just about the previous 2023 and before, I'm actually including the 2024 PSLE because I've already gotten my hands on the last year's paper and I've already done the analysis so that I can use this analysis to explain to all of you a little bit better. Now, previously, I actually did a little I think a little video previously on the post-mortem of the 2024 PSLE paper. So I had a rough understanding, and this time round, since I have the full paper, I can actually do a proper analysis. So that's why this time rounds, the questions, the things I'm going to go through is going to be a bit more different. Okay, so hopefully there'll be more and more people coming in soon. Then later on when I explain, uh, I'll promise all of you, some of the content here would be a little similar to the past, but there's going to be a lot more additional content as well. And I also actually make some tweaks in the things that I want to say as compared to the past because of what I observed in the 2024 paper. So for now, I'm just going to be waiting a little bit more. I think it's about a minute and a half more before I begin the seminar proper. So hopefully there'll be more people coming in. Okay, but if not, it's alright. I'll just begin the seminar with the people who are inside the stream right now. So I think I would say another maybe about 2 minutes more. Okay. And okay, for those who were looking forward to the seminar previously on last Friday, I'm so sorry. So previously, because I actually got a stomach flu when I came back from overseas, so therefore I had to go and delay the seminar. So if anyone happened to hear that there was supposed to be a seminar last Friday, I'm so sorry. That's the reason why I couldn't host it. I had to delay it to today. So I hope that it did not really impact the many of you as we go through our seminar today. Okay, and yeah, still, just take note, right? This seminar is going to be recorded. You can still find this seminar later on at the end of the seminar. You can find it inside our Think Academy, the YouTube page, and you can go and find it under the live section as well. Okay, so as of now, I'm just going to wait a little bit more before I begin. Okay, just a minute more, then I'll be beginning. Then after that, I will do quite in-depth explanation. And I hope that this time around, there's going to be a better overview of what we view of the current the PSLE math and what we're expecting to happen in the upcoming 2025 paper. So I'm not doing any form of predictions as of now for the paper, but I'm just going to be going through some analysis of the last year paper to see a possible trend in what's going on. Okay, so let's see, if any of you are inside and actively watching the chat right now, are you able to type a 1 inside the chat box, the live chat, so that at least I can see there are some people there? Yeah, just need to type a 1 inside the chat. Yeah, then if I can see then I know at least you are actively watching it and rather than just listening to me as I explain. But it's okay also. If let's say you are unavailable to go and type it, okay, I'll just hope that you are still able to hear me as I speak more about it. Okay, so anyway, now it's 7 o'clock on my side, and let me go through our the seminar for today as we talk about the preparation for PSLE Math for 2025. So once again, for those who may not have seen me before, okay, just want to remind you again who I am. So I am Teacher Jason, okay, I'm actually going to be the PSLE in charge. PSLE for PSLE Math. Okay, and yes, I'm from NTU, and I've actually done some competitions before. But these competitions are a little bit smaller. It's going to be it's for the New South Wales competition and the Australian math. But the main thing here is that I have 6 years of teaching experience. 4 of them are within Think Academy. 2 of them are based on my own personal one-to-one tuitions that I've taught in the past. And one of our other PSLE teachers who is also going to be teaching the P6 batch here is teacher Ing. So she has a PSLE score of 276. She actually studied in Oxford University and Oxford College London, and is also the alumni of Raffles Institution. She also has 4 years of teaching experience in Think Academy as well. In fact, we are actually both from the same batch. So now, I want to just address a couple of things, and I know at this point of time, most parents should be aware. So that's why for the next slide, it's going to be very fast. The PSLE system, basically the AL system once more. Here, the AL system, okay, basically the previous PSLE T score has been replaced by a wider scoring band called the achievement levels. And I'm pretty sure that everyone is now aware that we have to use the AL system. Especially your child should already have been graded using the AL system since primary 5. But now, I have a slight adjustment to what a statement that I have made in the past. Here, this is actually quite a justified, system, because if we actually look at some of the changes that we noticed in PSLE, especially in the more recent 2024 paper. But more about the changes later on and why I find the AL system very good this time round. Okay, and I'll talk about the next part first. The changes to the PSLE syllabus. So, I believe that some people over here, some of you, I think should have already noticed that there's going to be a change in the PSLE syllabus. Some of the changes over here are the reshuffling of the syllabus from different levels to different grades, so on and so forth. So, are you aware of that? Now, maybe you have heard from some other organizations, maybe you have not, but not to worry, let me show you. So, here, these are the changes that are made, and I group them in a slightly different manner so that it's easier for us to go and see, okay, originally from P4, P5, and P6. So I'm not really talking about the P2 changes over here because in my opinion, I think our main focus here would be the upper primary syllabus. So originally in P4, there used to be geometry. Okay, you can see over here, but currently it has been the turn and 8-point compass. But specifically just that part of geometry, it has been removed already from our syllabus. Then from here, in the P4 syllabus, they used to have the 12 hours and 24 hours clock. Well, there still will be the 12 and 24 hours clock, but it's been shifted to P3. Now, for P5, we also have seen this average before. Now, average, this chapter here being one of the smaller chapters that is actually going to be learned, apparently it has been shifted into P6, which makes sense because in P6 there is a shorter duration to actually learn new topics. That's the reason why average is a good topic to actually shift into primary 6, giving students a little less less strain as they learn new topics for PSLE. Same for ratio as well. Now, I used to also mention that ratio is a very big topic, but as how the questions have been tested in more recent papers, the percentage that they test the ratio questions has slowly decreased already. So in my opinion, this shift over here is actually going to be very beneficial. Now, more about the changes in the percentage of ratio questions later on as well. Now, there are another 3 more topics that were originally in P6, and you can see there used to be quite a lot of topics in P6, but now they are shifting it. In my opinion, one of the best things to make the changes for is actually the pie chart. Reasoning, because when students learn pie charts in primary 6, it is actually a very easy topic. Now, it makes sense to actually go and teach an easy topic in primary 6 so that you don't need to go and waste too much time to learn something new. But at the same time, pie charts is so easy and so relevant to lines and bar graphs and tables that already was learned in primary 4, such that I feel that they should have clumped it together all the while. In fact, I believe I have mentioned to my students in the past, at least 3 years ago, that I believe that pie charts should not have been a primary 6 topic, but should have in fact be a primary 4 topic. Not saying that I managed to predict this, but it's just that happened that it's similar to the way of how I felt in the past as well. So a shift from pie charts from P6 to P4, and nets as well, because nets also plays a smaller part in the actual PSLE paper, so therefore shifting it into a level that doesn't have too much content to go and learn. And one last major part, the one that I was myself very surprised about, is actually on speed, because we see that for speed it has been shifted all the way to secondary 1. Now, I as a teacher, I personally do not really agree with this shift over here, and I'm actually for the easier questions that are in the PSLE paper right now. But maybe because of all the uses of speed that will be learned in secondary school, let's say the applications in the math in secondary school or in physics in secondary school, probably it's the better time to actually apply speed, and therefore that's why they shifted speed to that time as well. So overall, these are the shifts, and I hope that it makes it clear for everybody to understand the different shifts that your child needs to understand as well, your child needs to know, so that when they do their own practices in the future, they also understand where the topics now come from. Okay, so the statistical analysis, and this time around, like I mentioned, it's on the 2024 paper. So I have actually not just done the analysis of the 2023 and before, but I've actually already done the 2024 analysis. Okay, sorry, let me just mention something first. So we have our past year results over here in the 2022 and 2023 PSLE Math. We have quite a good percentage of students. But I'll personally say that I think for last year's PSLE results could still have been a little bit better. Now, question for everybody first. Do you know what are the main topics that were tested in 2024? Now, I know it's going to be a little hard for you to reply right now, so I hope that you can think about it in your mind as I were to go through the different things I noticed inside the 2024 PSLE paper. So, over here, okay, I'm actually showing you a little breakdown of what I have done for the 2024 PSLE paper, which is the same as what I have done for the previous year's papers as well. The reason why I have done my own analysis is because I need to have a better understanding of the latest questions that are being tested inside PSLE. And for what range have I done the analysis for? I've actually done the analysis for 2019 all the way to 2024. So that's actually a couple of years already. It's 6 years worth of PSLE papers. Now, in fact, I've done even the papers from way before then, around 2012 all the way to 2024. But of course, some of the earlier papers, the questions are very out of date. In fact, if I were to say the 2019 paper, it is already considered out of date already. So at this point of time onwards, you will actually notice that I will not bring up the 2019 paper anymore, even though I always mention that is the hardest PSLE paper I've seen in a while. So a preliminary investigation, we still notice that the same thing here. Numbers and algebra still plays the biggest role. From a broad perspective, calculation is still one of the biggest things that every student needs to practice. But even at primary 6, I want to ask every parent to touch your own heart and ask yourself this thing. Are you sure that your child is already prepared for calculations? Has your child already mastered calculations? Are they able to do it in the top of their head? Or do they still have to go and take out a calculator for maybe a 2-digit number plus a 2-digit number? Do they always practice using a calculator? Or do they at least attempt to do a bit of mental calculations? Do they think a little bit more when they do their 4 operations? Or do they just go through from left to right? So these are the kind of things that I think is important for each parent to also take note as well. Now, let's do a little comparison. So if you were there in my previous seminars, in fact, for I think maybe the past 2 or 3 seminars, I've actually been using this same slide over here, which shows the substrand of the whole numbers, fractions, geometry, measurements, decimal, data, ratio, area and volume, algebra, rate and speed, and percentage. This is from the 2019 to 2023 analysis, but I want you to go and see. Do you notice any difference between this and this paper? This and this. So do we notice any difference? Okay, I hope that you do see some difference, because between these two, there are actually some of them that should pop out like a sore eye, sore thumb, sorry, to everybody immediately. So in the 2024, there are three notable things to take note. Number one, in fact, sorry, there are three things to take note. Now, there is an uptick in the number of questions that are related to fractions, okay, your percentage, and data. For percentage, it's a little bit more, but for data, okay, sorry, data and percentage is a little bit more. But my main concern over here is actually the one on fractions. Fractions related questions suddenly appear way more as compared to the others. Again, if we look at the previous page over here, you will notice that whole numbers and geometry were quite equal to one another, while fractions was only about 2/3 of them. And suddenly, in last year's paper, it suddenly became on par. This means that fractions is now starting to play a bigger role already. But remember this, when did your child learn fractions? They actually learn fractions since primary 3. This means that despite the questions maybe being a little harder as well, because of course it's in the PSLE paper after all. But for these kinds of questions, are they really that difficult? We need to really consider that. So the next thing to take note is the more detailed analysis, and the same thing here. This analysis was done in the for all the other seminars before. I've actually been using the same material for at least the past 3 seminars, and that's why I'm just going to show you briefly. This is what I've explained previously, but there is three major changes again for this content. Let's see this one as compared to the 2024. This as compared to the 2024. So we notice that once again, everything else at the bottom is exactly the same, but there are some key notable points. So let me bring out the 3 things. Number 1, area of triangle. Actually, because of question 17, this one particular question, although it has a very low question count, however, the number of marks assigned to triangles, and in fact, that parallelogram, the very interesting question that will actually appear in the post-mortem of our video as well, the post-mortem video, that question also plays a very big role in PSLE. Now, a second part over here, there is actually a lot more emphasis on basic questions. And what do I mean by basic? I mean that if we were to bring this paper to a primary 5 student, there is a very high possibility that majority of these questions coming from whole numbers and your fractions word problems can actually be solved by that. A large majority of these questions. And last but not least, 2 topics that I always stressed out, okay, to many parents and many students: angles and statistics. They still play a very vital role in PSLE. Okay, they still take a huge percentage in the actual PSLE paper. So if let's say at this point of time your child has not done any form of practice or little exercise on angles and statistics, it's really time to ramp up, especially for statistics, and it's for a very practical reason. Because if you think about it, for students when they enter secondary school in JC, Poly, University, there is going to be a lot of analysis that they have to do, which means that if they learn to analyze, they have to learn to read the data, they have to interpret the data, they have to use the data to understand. So these form of informations, they really need to understand it well after they have already done well for the statistics topic. And once again, one thing that we have just talked about earlier on, statistics is a very heavy focus since primary 4. Especially now they are shifting the whole bunch of pie charts topic into the primary 4 topic as well. So if you think about this, the easier topics I mentioned for whole number word problems and fraction word problems appear in the earlier years. And now I even mentioned that statistics now appears in primary 4. A huge majority of your papers actually becomes a lot easier. And that's the reason why there is actually a shift in the how the PSLE papers are being created right now. In my personal opinion, many of the questions have actually been easier. have been made easier, either because of the fierce complaints of many parents mentioning that the papers are too difficult, or because the MOE themselves have realized that for certain years, questions have been a little bit too difficult. Okay, so let's show you some examples where it's some similarities between the 2023 and 2024 paper. Because by seeing what is similar between the 2 years, we're able to actually notice a certain trend. So if you look on the both sides over here, what do we notice is similar? Now, one of them has a scale, the other one talks about weights of the cats. Now, I need all of us to go and notice one particular word. Average. Okay, both sides actually talks about average. But if let's say you use average only for this question, then unfortunately you're sorely mistaken. There is a second key point. There's a reason why I wrote maximum minimum difference. What's the smallest possible difference and what's the largest possible difference? So this part over here suddenly makes these two questions a lot harder than it seems. And in fact, this was one of the post-mortem questions that I went through because many students seem to really have differing opinions on how to do such questions. So at the time when I go through these questions, I actually had quite a few set of answers coming for this particular question just because of the misinterpretation of some of these keywords over here. Now, let me show you some other topics as well. Okay, so between these two at the bottom, you will notice that very clearly, what is similar is actually between the bottom sides of the left and right side of the figure. BHF is and is not a straight line because the sum of the angles BHC and CH is and is not 180 degrees. The right side, the same thing as well on the trapezium parallelogram because FB is or is not parallel and FA is or is not parallel once more. So this type of is or is not question also now becomes a common question that appears in both 2023 and 2024 paper. So again, there could be a prediction that in 2025, they may even want to test something similar to this as well. Both of them has geometry inside. The next one is also still likely to be a geometry related question. And one more, okay, on the area and perimeter, but not just any area and perimeter. I want to talk specifically on overlapping figures. So on the left side, I believe for the trapezium question, it was a very significant question that year because there were many students that actually came out and not realized how to look at this one particular overlapping line to do the calculations. For our side, we even managed to teach students, I think, under 4 steps to be able to go and solve this question. On the right side, I'll be very honest, overlapping here, there is overlapping, but it does not play as huge of a role as compared to the left-hand side. But yet, both questions are question 17s of the paper. They are meant to be one of the toughest questions. Not the toughest, because the left side's one for 2023 is the toughest. I really personally think it is the toughest of the year. But for the right side, it wasn't the toughest, despite being on question 17. So it's still a very difficult one, and I believe that students really had a little bit of a struggle when they were doing it. Now, the 5-mark question, I specifically wanted to bring up the 5-mark questions of both 2023 and 2024. Why? Because of the title, only one 5-mark question. Now, every year before that, or at least for many years, okay, in fact 2017 at least, 2017 all the way to 2022, there used to be always 2 5-mark questions. May not always be at the end of the paper, but always somewhere in between. There will be 2 5-mark questions. But this time round, they have already limited to only 1. So what does it mean? It seems like what MOE is trying to do is to reduce the overall difficulty of the questions and try to spread it out a bit more evenly. Maybe making some of the easier questions a little harder, but the harder question a little easier as well. So that's the reason why it's a bit more balanced throughout the paper. But ask your child to actually go through this particular question for 2023. It's a 5-mark question. But was it really that difficult? In my personal opinion, as compared to the 2024 paper, the 2023 one is a little easier. Or if let's say your child happens to already learn alternate angles, maybe you would find the 2024 question 13 over here easier. But at the same time, the same point being brought up, though they are 5 mark questions, they aren't as difficult as past years 5 mark questions, like the one on patterns, the one on circles in 2019, like the one I always like to bring up. So therefore, actually, it really shows that the difficulty of the PSLE paper has been dropping. And I can have additional proof on why that is so. So I'll talk more about it a little later, and I want to mention as well that on the YouTube video, I actually did post this post-mortem video that I have actually done for the 2024 paper. If happen that any parent wants to see how the questions actually can be done, you can actually find these videos inside our inside the YouTube. You can actually see that the solution has been posted, and I did an in-depth explanation on this as well. So hope that some of you, maybe if you're keen, at the end of watching this seminar, you can actually go to this video here to go and watch the solutions as well. Now, doing well for PSLE, how can we actually improve? How can we prepare? Now, what are some of the problems that every child is currently facing for math? Now, I know of the many problems that many parents have informed me over the past 4 years, but majority of the parents always come to one conclusion, and they always like to bring up the very, very big word starting with the letter C. I'm just going to leave it there, because every parent, the moment they see the starting letter C, they know what is the biggest problem. It is on carelessness. Carelessness. Every child's greatest problem is on carelessness. Now, in the past years, parents will be like, oh, this is the toughest question, most challenging question over the year. Okay, there are more parents that will talk about kids being upset over the tough PSLE paper. There are parents that raise concerns, okay, at the difficulty of the MOE paper. But these are past years' news. But why in 2024, why were parents so silent? Because we noticed that the difficulty of the paper is no longer the issue anymore. In truth, the past year, the 2024 paper was really much easier than before. Even in 2023, the number of parents mentioning that the paper was difficult was actually much, much lower than before. In fact, many parents seem to have a very similar concern, like this Reddit post that I actually found quite recently. PSLE Math 2024. Top math students' results dropped from AL1 to AL4. And I believe that if there are students watching this, you probably have heard of some of your friends, maybe some of your seniors actually encountering this. Let me just read a little bit of the excerpt. My students, including my child, receive unexpected results for math this year. These students are top in level, consistently AL1, and won many math Olympiad awards as well. Yet receive only AL4 to 5 for PSLE, even though, and I believe in this case here, it should be more math. It's for math. So even though the paper was very manageable, even the students themselves believed that the paper was manageable, but yet they actually dropped all the way to AL4 and AL5. I think I know what's the main reason, and I think it's because of the carelessness. So it is now a greater concern, and that is much more prominent in recent years. So once again, let's look at some of the common weaknesses. When students do not prepare, they write their works sloppily, they do not write their equations properly, they don't draw their models properly, they actually do not present the answers properly, and therefore, just by writing them in this manner over here, which many of the Math Olympiad students actually tend to do, they can lose marks unnecessarily. And see, even for students with the best solutions, best written out stuff, there are even places that we can improve. It's clear, it's neat, there are final workings that are already marked out. However, the keywords and labeling of the equations are also missing. sometimes the teachers may not understand fully what the equations written out were for as well. So why is carelessness a problem? Because carelessness is actually just an excuse. Every student knows this, every parent knows this. It's just an excuse for students to explain the questions that they got wrong. So in actual fact, if your child really did the question properly, really checked through, so could they really be careless? Now, there are many forms of carelessness as well, and students always tend to clump everything together as a form of carelessness. So the first step to actually telling yourself that carelessness is not okay. It is not okay to have a carelessness at one point of time, or a second point of time, or a third, or fourth, or fifth time. Because if it continues to persist, even in PSLE, carelessness will continue. So we even see an excerpt again from 2022. The letter, which was published on December 1, was written by a group of parents for P6 students. 11 parents said that their child always scored 95 marks, okay, but ended up with only AL 3, 4, and 5. Why? They are AL1 students. They are the top in the level. They should have been the top in the level across the entire nation. But why are they only scoring AL 3, 4, and 5? It is mainly because they are careless. They are likely to write through the questions. This is a very easy paper. They really just scribble through, they really complete as fast as possible, and they ended up just finishing the paper maybe within 40 minutes. And they thought, easy paper, that's all. Put it one side. But maybe inside the question, they ask you, write your answer in liters, but they write it in milliliters. One simple mistake like this, and it can cost them a lot. In fact, during my more recent last year's mock test, when I did this for my students as well, I actually managed to have one particular mock test where I had one class of, I think, 16 students inside, where I had 7 students making that one particular mistake by writing the answer as milliliters instead of converting, even though the question mentioned. And I believe that these students, having the habit of already not checking their work properly during the mock test, they may not have done so for the actual PSLE paper, therefore losing their potential AL1s as well. Now, carelessness is a common misconception that, there is also a common misconception that parents think that there is a standard bell curve. Now, do understand that there is no more bell curve. Okay, we want to believe the MOE based on what they say, so we'll take it as it is. There is no more bell curve. This means that it is not because there are, let's say your child is, that because of, there are stronger students that manage to do the paper even better, that's why your child's grade went lower. Or because of the difficulty of the paper, that's why in the end, there are more students who are able to do well. No, this, because they say there is no bell curve, this means that each student's grades is their own grades. They are not affected by any other student's grades. This means that they themselves are the reasons of why they got their grade. It's not because of other students being better than them and bumping them down. It's just because they are careless. That's why it is the increased likelihood that because of the carelessness, their marks get pushed up. While the questions become easy for everybody, everybody is able to do. But for students who may previously find math difficult but found the paper easy, maybe they are the kind of students that put in a bit more effort to go and check through their carelessness, and therefore, because they are more willing to check through their paper, they are better able to score their AL1. So therefore, having the difference between the students who are a bit more, in a sense, gifted versus those that put in the hard work. Now, students who really put in the hard work are much more likely to be able to do better. Okay, in this case, students who may personally believe or are actually gifted in math may not be able to do as well if they maintain this form of carelessness too. So now I want to mention about Think Academy's program and how we aim to also tackle and help out not just the entire curriculum itself, but also on how we can personally tackle the carelessness of the students. So how are some of our classes like? We actually have our guided examples, and we gradually introduce new concepts to the students. Okay, we identify question types and actually explain to them from the introductory to tougher questions as well. especially for primary 6, where we really incorporate almost anything that the students have learned in the past into the lessons themselves. We try to go and add in even more questions this round because there are parents before that feel that they need their child to have more practice. I personally also agree on this matter. That's why we started to make a shift as well. And from here, we even have even more practice questions to make sure that students are able to apply on the spot. By applying them on the spot, they are better able to remember and absorb the question and probably less likely to go and make their careless mistakes in the future because they have already seen them, because they have already done the question. Now, we also tackle a wide range of homework questions to find the areas of weakness of each student. This time round, this year, I'm trying to employ something new. Here, I'm trying to go and create a little checklist for each of my students to make sure that they are better able to go and keep track of where their mistakes are. Each topic, each little chapter, each little key point here to make sure that I'm able to tick through all of the checkpoints here to make sure that each child has already understood and truly learned everything that they have learned before. Now, how are our classes like? As you can see over here, our slides, okay, we actually make quite creative slides as well. Sometimes we even use the blackboard here to add in even more points, okay, and our slides are quite engaging and explains all the methods extensively. An example here, and I think something's a little bit more relatable to many of the parents, the topic on its circles. Okay, you can see how I have written out for the students as well. So, okay, furthermore, okay, what we do for our classes is actually to also go through the solutions of the homework and actually explain to the students properly where their mistakes are. If let's say they did make a mistake, okay, we even put it into the system to make sure that students are aware of what little mistakes that they may have made inside so that they know how to go and fix them too. Now, what are some of our upcoming plans? Let's look into this. Starting off with a blank slate here, but not to worry, we have prepared quite a lot of things for everybody. So, you can see the dates. CA1 at the end of February, mid-year exams at the end of May, and prelim exams at the end of August. And this actually follows a more typical students' the calendar already. From here, we add on a couple more things. Number one, trial classes. So for new students who are early students who are still new to Think Academy and you feel like you want to go and experience how Think Academy classes are like, we have trial classes over here for your child to attend so that you can get a better feel of our classes and maybe you would consider joining our classes later on. But we are also trying to add in PSLE DMD, what we call the daily math doses. And what are daily math doses? Every day, we send a couple of questions, and these questions are going to be designed specifically to fight careless mistakes. So I want not just our own students as well, but in general, students to be able to go and fight their careless mistakes. These questions are not going to be difficult, or at least are not meant to be difficult. Maybe of varying difficulties, but not going to be at the 5-star stages. These questions are meant to tackle the carelessness. So if let's say a child has a typical carelessness of transferring from one point to another, okay, I will have questions that are designed for that. Let's say a question that talks about the conversion of one unit to the other, whether your child may pick up on that or they did not. Okay, another type of question that you have to go and do. So that's why I'm trying to go and add in something a little bit special, the PSLE daily math doses on fighting careless mistakes. Now, some of the other programs that we have here is also the P6 mid-year mock test. So the mid-year mock test basically allows students to, after they do the test, they know where they're weaker at. They're actually better able to prepare for their mid-year examinations. And at the same time, during the prelim exams period, okay, I'm actually planning to host the P6 PSLE mock test, like what I have already done for my last year's batch of students as well. So for all of your children as well, I hope that they are able to go and spend some time to really use this period of time to at least join the mock test so they are able to go and see their current standings for the PSLE for 2025. But I would like to add on, there are even more programs like short-term courses. So we have short-term courses including the revision crash course where I intend to go through stuff in primary 5 to make sure students have already revised everything that they have learned in primary 5 and use this material to actually go and do even better for their upcoming primary 6 syllabus as well, and as they go through even more revision practices in their own school. In April, I plan to go and do the P6 topical revision, where we go through content they have already learned in primary 6 once more, and even add in a little bit more things on our end as well. But for June, it's going to be an entire syllabus-wide crash course during the June holiday. Because what better time to go and prepare for each and every student but during the June holiday? Because the June holiday there's quite a bit of period of time where I'm actually able to go and host many classes for students to be able to revise any and everything that they have learned before. Some of the things that I'll try to add into the courses, some of the things that I may want to add is also I can actually ask some parents to actually give me some feedbacks on what they think their child needs for the course as well. I'll try to go and cater on both ends to go and make sure the course is suitable for every student. And last but not least, this purple colored portion, I would like to go and mention it is specifically only for our long-term course students. A long-term course students will have access to a special program that we are doing, which is to go and host weekly consultations. So every week, I'm actually planning to go and send out the past year papers to the students so that they can take some time to do the questions. And after that, they'll take the papers, they'll come over during the consultations and ask me. So what questions that they have, what question they would like me to go through. They'll get my solutions as well as my explanations. And after that, they can use this as a form of revision. You notice it's going to be across a 3-month period plus another 3-month period. I'm dedicating already half a year into this weekly consultation. So this means there's going to be a total of 12 weeks plus another 12 weeks, 24 sets of papers to go through. And this also includes some of the past year PSLE papers. So if let's say for new parents, okay, don't worry. If let's say your child were to join in midway into our courses, they will be automatically signed up into this little program over here for free as well. Is to join, to really go through and have a proper consultation to go and understand how the prelim papers are being tested and how their child, where the weakness of their child is and how they can better prepare themselves as well. So for parents who are keen on our trial classes, as you can see over here on the 19th of January, I have already opened another session for the trial class. Okay, my goal over here is actually to teach circles. So reason why I want to teach circles, because it's a primary 6 topic and it's a topic that is going to be a big problem in the future for our students. So that's the reason why I plan to go and host one for people to join. The trial class is going to be only $9 for that one session, and it's going to be from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. The QR code is shown on the screen, so I'm just going to leave it here for a little bit first. I'm going to hold for maybe 30 seconds so that I can give parents a chance to go and scan the QR codes. The moment you scan the QR code, you can straight away see the course already for the math trial. Okay, so hopefully parents, if let's say you are interested in this, please take a screenshot of this, or maybe you can even scan the QR code and keep it inside your Safari right now. Okay, so let me continue on. Another part that I want to mention, so we have already covered on the trial classes. I would like to now talk about the revision crash course. So what do I aim to go and do for the revision crash? Oh, sorry. What do I want to... Sorry, I think I may have... Okay, I may have actually accidentally removed it. Please give me a moment first. Okay, sorry, not to worry. It's going to be there. It's going to be shown later on. I think I make a little error in my slides. Okay, so anyway, regarding the slides over here, okay, regarding the courses over here that I intend to do, so there's going to be our additional mock test as well. The P6 mid-year mock test, okay, and also the P6 mock test at the end of the year. So what are the mock tests? Basically, we have already crafted the mock test with a teacher in the past, and also going to continue the analysis with teacher Ing as well to go and create sets of papers that are going to prepare our students better for the actual PSLE paper. These mock tests are going to be created, and then, sorry, give me a moment. Okay. Sorry. I think for a brief moment, I think the screen share was not shared properly. Let me say again. Okay, so with regards to our courses over here, now, okay, the P6 mid-year mock test and also the P6 PSLE mock test. So with regards to these mock tests over here, okay, I intend to go and the questions are actually being created, okay, beforehand by us and also by some of my past teachers as well, and also by Teacher Ing, where we'll be revamping the questions to suit the 2025 PSLE paper a little bit better. So you can see over here, mock test 1, 2, 3, 4. We have actually created 4 sets of papers in the past, but these papers are definitely going to be revamped again because of the changes in the questions that are going to be tested in PSLE. Now, furthermore, okay, you can see over here, some of these mock tests have actually proven to be really helpful for the actual PSLE paper, because you will see over here that the questions, some of these questions here are actually from our mock test itself actually did come out in actual PSLE papers. And it's not a coincidence. It's actually a form of prediction that we kind of made. We made such questions because we have looked through some of the papers they have done by certain schools. We have seen some questions done by certain past year papers as well, and we've decided to incorporate them together to come up with a question that happen to be somewhat similar. In fact, let's look at the 2024 PSLE question and versus the PSLE mock test. So I've always emphasized to students to actually understand this one topic called common numerator, where we compare our fractions, but we use the numerators and make them equal. Now, this question 16 over here actually applies the common numerator method. Now, if students really listened to me and understood this topic well, and they actually applied straight into this question 16, it would have made the question very easy. Now, there were actually students that asked me this during the post-mortem video as well. The moment they were to see my method, it was an immediate one. I've actually managed to shorten the question into just, I think, a total of 4 steps to finish. Because in the first step, I have just made some of these fractions equal to one another. We did some little transformations here and there. And using the denominators, we have already gotten all the key information. The total number of units, where we can take all the values here and combine it to the amount that was given inside the question. And in the PSLE mock test, look at that. We even talked about Melissa spent half her money, Jacob spent 7 over 10, and they have the same amount of money left. So Melissa's half her money and Jacob's 3 over 10 of his money is going to be equal. Same thing, common numerator. Another example question may not seem like similar at first, but you observe, okay, if we just focus more on the radius, the quadrants inside the figure. The quadrants here are somewhat misaligned, and in fact, the same thing is shown over here, where there are misaligned, but the differences over here can be seen and can be used as well. So, therefore, again, our questions, whenever we create, there are many times where there is actually going to be a similarity between our papers as compared to the actual PSLE paper, where we make a form of prediction to make sure that students are better prepared for the PSLE. Now, social media, we have actually, I myself actually also had an account going. Okay, it's called the Xiaohongshu, and actually for a period of time, I have actually did reduce the amount of the videos that I have actually posted inside there, but I've recently revamped and have already recorded quite a bit of videos for everybody to watch. So using these videos, your child is actually able to have a simple analysis of some of the important questions, or at least what I deem as important for PSLE. Okay. Following the trends of students and parents, we have used this Xiaohongshu and TikTok to share our research and knowledge of PSLE. So please feel free to go and find my account, okay, called Teacher Jason with a little monkey over there. Okay, and in this account over here, I really spend a lot of time trying to go through many key points and key questions that you will observe in PSLE. And the next point here, where we talk about the revision course. So we can see here, for 2025 P6 Intensive Math Revision course, I intend to go and use this period of time to go through certain topics. Fractions, patterns, ratio, and volume. Now, I would like to mention one thing here. This ratio topic, I may make a change over here, because when we had this plan over here, we did not really account into how the 2024 PSLE paper was being tested. And because I have noticed that ratio really took a very insignificant role this round, so I decided to also probably consider changing ratio to another more important topic. So it's better to go and master these frequently tested topics first, and make sure that your child is better prepared for primary 6 math. To make sure anything they have learned in primary 5 in the past is already, they have already learned it well, and then after that they use this to go and prepare themselves for the upcoming primary 6. So as you can see, I plan to start this course actually pretty soon. From the 17th of January, 24th January, 7th, 14th of February, because we're skipping 1 week for the Chinese New Year, but using 4 weeks, okay, for 1.5 hours each lesson, okay, and an in-person lesson at Acing. Okay, during this period of time, I intend to go through all these 4 topics and make sure and clarify to each student what they need to remember and learn and relearn again from primary 5. So for anyone who is interested right now, you can see there is a QR code on the screen. Same thing, you can do the same. Take out your phone, scan it with your phone, and after that you can keep the link with yourself first, so that you can go and look through and consider registering. Because I will really promise you, I'll use this opportunity to make sure I can pinpoint any of the mistakes that your child may have in the past. So for anyone that's interested, please scan it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to go and find me at the end of this seminar as well. Now, our long-term courses. Okay, so how else can we actually improve to PSLE? So a long-term course is still definitely the best way, because there is still time. Even though we have currently only 9 months left for PSLE, but there is still time. I have students that have joined me from March of primary 6 and can still score AL1 by the end of the year. Now, these are our courses. Our course timings for semester 1. Yes, so semester 1. Okay, where I have 1 class or at Acing. Okay, in-person course on Acing on Sundays, and we have many many online courses as well. Some small, some medium. If you do not know the difference between the small and medium, not to worry, please find me and I'll be explaining to you again what are the differences between the in-person, small and medium classes. Now, furthermore, we also have the topics over here. Sorry, not sure why the image here is a little bit blurred, but not to worry, we have already prepared 19 lessons worth, split into term 1 and term 2. So during this period of time, we have certain lessons in between where we actually structure to use it as a period to go and test your child, and to also use this period to go through certain key points that students need to prepare for their own WAs and their own examinations in the mid of the year as well. And again, the next thing that I want to go and mention to everybody would be on this part. So what's this? It's the weekly consultations that I've explained before. So what are weekly consultations? We send these papers to your child. Okay, these papers over here, you can see we have your SCGS paper, Rosyth, we have the RGS paper, Methodist, we have Catholic High, Anglo-Chinese, Nanhua. Okay, all these papers over here is being sent out to your child, so that your child is able to do these questions, and then later on, once they have finished, they come looking for me for any help on questions they are unsure of. And again, for some of them, they are maybe a little bit more shy. I'll even send them solutions as well to actually see how answers should be written, and how maybe very complicated steps can be shrunken down a lot further as well. Last but not least, okay, for any parents that are interested to see all of our courses in general, you can look at this link over here. Okay, you can find our courses actually under Think Academy Singapore. If it's a little bit difficult to find the website link itself, just go to any of the search engines and type Think Academy Singapore. So one thing to mention, okay, one little quote that I would like to leave for each parent. Okay, there is a fine line between careless and careful, and I think this is probably the overarching idea that I want to actually bring to the parents. So it is always very easy to actually make careless mistakes, and for those careless mistakes to then become to twist these careless students to become a careful student. So it's still easy to do so. So I think we will use this opportunity to really help students to make sure that they do well for the 2025 PSLE. Okay, last but not least, okay, I would like to ask if there is any parent that has any questions they would like to ask me. So currently, I am actually focused on the YouTube stream right now. So if there's any parents, please feel free to go and type inside the chat over there, and I'll answer the questions on the spot. But if not, okay, I'll probably close this webinar in maybe about the next 4 minutes. So, okay, if there is any parents that wants the slides to this seminar, okay, I'll be actually making a little PDF later on to send it inside the group chat. So any of these things that you have seen that you have found interesting, I'll make sure I put it inside the group chat later on. So if you have any questions, please feel free to type inside the chat right now, and I will try my best to go and answer on the spot. Okay, so I'm currently trying to take a quick look, but I don't see anyone that is actually asking a question as of now, or maybe because you're still typing the question. So for those who, let's say you do not have anything anymore regarding the seminar, I thank you for the time today, and I think you can go off already. But if let's say you have questions to ask, please feel free to stay back and type inside the chat over there. So once again, this seminar slides here, okay, I'll actually be sending them inside the group chat later on. Details about the courses will also be sent inside. And if let's say anyone wants to go and watch back one part of the seminar that you may have heard earlier on, you can actually find this webinar. The live session will be posted inside our YouTube later on. Okay, so as mentioned, I'll be here for another 2 more minutes just to go and see if there's anybody asking me any questions. But if not, then I'll be leaving after this. Okay, thank you. So, any parents have any questions regarding the courses or whatnot, but you prefer to reach me personally, please feel free to find me inside the group chat and you can talk to me. Then after that, I'll try to PM you with any of the other details. So, okay, yes, I have managed to get one question. With regards to the students' performance, I'll be very frank. My own students did not do as well as the previous batch, but from what I did hear, generally students overall actually did better for last year's paper. So I believe that many of my students, as what I also did mention, the careless mistakes ratio was really high. and therefore I think my students themselves were also heavily affected. I did my best in trying to go and remove the carelessness from these students, but I think I may not have done a good enough job as compared to last year. That's why for this year I'm going to put down a bit, like a lot more emphasis on the carelessness. So actually, I personally feel from what I did hear from sources outside that in 2024, I think there was more students that actually did well for the PSLE. Okay, so if there is no other questions, thank you everybody. Thank you for the time for joining this seminar, and that's all. See you.